Yay, we're recording. Okay, that's all the little housekeeping stuff. And now I just want to introduce our guest chefs. We're so glad to have them here tonight. Many of you might have already attended a cooking demo with us. So you know Cindy and the wonderful, fabulous meals she creates. For those of you who don't know her already, Cindy Present, she lives in Port Rowan, Ontario. She is a stone carver and home chef who enjoys baking bread and pastry and using fresh meats, vegetables, and fruits from Norfolk County to create healthy and vibrant meals. She also has a background in this field. She has a diploma in culinary management from Liaison College and has worked as a baker and line cook at Twisted Lemon Restaurant in Cayuga for 4 years. She has also worked at Ferrera's, Vivian's Country Cooking, the Erie Beach Hotel, Norfolk Golf and Country Club, and the Coach and Lantern Pubs in Dundas. And you already know that Cindy delights in modifying recipes and coming up with new and interesting flavor combinations for dishes, which we have already experienced before, and it's wonderful. But tonight, her partner in crime is Mark Sandford. And for those of you who don't know him, he is a keen home chef, originally from Hereford, Britain, and he now lives in Turkey Point. His interest in cooking started as a child while helping his mother and grandmother in the kitchen and has continued through the years. While traveling and working in Europe and Asia, he experienced different cultures which influenced his various cooking styles. Mark particularly enjoys East Indian, Chinese, and French cuisines with their use of herbs and spices. He also regularly makes his own sourdough bread and kefir at home, which sounds really great. So I won't want to take up any more time, so I'll hand it over to you, Cindy and Mark.
All right, thank you very much, Carla. And thank you to all the Port Rowan Farmers Market volunteers who I believe are all watching tonight. So thank you very much to each of you for the time that you put into giving us the Port Rowan Farmers Market, which is wonderful. All right, so tonight, welcome to the Global Culinary Social. And we are going to go through a few recipes tonight that you can use during the holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or whether you celebrate any of the other holidays around the Christmas season. These are some recipes that you can keep, that you can use for lunch, for dinner, for entertaining. And they're not difficult, and they're very nice too, very interesting. As I go along, as we both cook tonight, I'm going to tell you where you can find some of these ingredients locally. And some of the people, some of the farmers and producers are going to be at the holiday market, and some are businesses in the Port Rowan area, or the larger sort of this part of Norfolk County. So we will get started. Mark is going to do I should have said it was a herbed pork plat.
Right, okay.
All right.
Yes.
Now, so there's something interesting here. You'll notice that Mark, of course, has an accent.
Yes.
Yes.
You might need translation.
So we find that this causes some interesting little language issues. When we were discussing about the menu, the pork plat was what he said. Well, he said my mom used to do a pork plat. So I said, what is there in your family that you'd like to do? And so I thought P-L-A-T, I thought, oh, it's some sort of French like pork entree with sides. And so I said, so what does she, put on the, what is involved in this plat? And he said, well, you do this and do this. And then I realized that the word is a word that we don't use as much in Canada. Of course, we would say a braid, probably braid. So same thing. But that's just one thing. You might find there are a few other things that come up too.
I'm able to translate between the two, so I get quite a lot of differences between words and that sort of. I try to modify, especially at work, different words for how they've moved to North Americans.
There you go.
So
multi.
Yes, multi-language. Yeah. Multilingual, yes.
So I'm going to let Mark explain this plant, and while he's doing that, I'm going to get a few other things prepared, and I might jump in and say things all along the way. So.
Yeah, correct me or something. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, as Cindy said, is pretty much what my mother would make, which would be herb sausage flat, how I'd call it. So we're going to use a mix of pork meat and sausage meat. So I've actually sort of got this mix here. Use sort of half and half of Italian, mild Italian sausage and pork mince. So that's all sitting together. So there's already sort of some sort of garlic and some flavouring there from the sausage. So what I've got here, okay, is some other things which I'd put in it. So got here some onions which I've chopped up and are caramelized or softened. So that's all a good idea to sort of do that. You could put it in raw, but then it's just going to take it into the mixture itself. So I'm going to sort of put that in there. Put that in. Right. Next. Okay, now that's the end. Okay.
We will be giving Carla the recipes for all of these so that you will see the proportions we've used and the general techniques, and she will email those out to you sometime later this week.
Okay, so all I've got here is a mix of chopped up parsley and sage, so that's going in as well. So I'm doing this recipe as my mother would do it, but you can put different combinations of herbs and spices in there. You can make it sort of Middle Eastern style. You can put sort of cumin and coriander seed crushed up. You could make it a bit hotter. You could put chili in, or even paprika. Just if you do start mixing it with your hands, paprika is going to stain. So what I'm going to try and do mostly is mix this up by hand. To get these ingredients combined together. I'm probably not going to use all of this mixture in this first recipe.
When we tested this out yesterday,
yeah.
So there's about 500 grams of meat there, half sausage and half thin ground pork. For that amount, it would make 2 plats. So out of, okay, so I should back up a bit here. We're using puff pastry, and the puff pastry is something that we bought. We did not actually make it. You can make it if you want, but I'm trying to make it a little easier on you. You can buy frozen puff pastry at Wiggins, our grocery store in town. So imagine. You can get that. It's easy to defrost, and then you just roll it out. You put whatever you want in it, and then you can braid it up.
Right. So I've got that mixed through. So what I can do, obviously Cindy said yes, you can buy or make it yourself. So it's just certainly a labour of love sort of making puff pastry, certainly an intensive process. So certainly for tonight, going to be doing this, and it's something. Yeah, it would take quite a long time to actually get that process.
Now, I should mention as well, if you are not so keen on making your own braided pork plat for Christmas, at the market will be Rose and Daffodil Bakery, and for sure they'll have meat pies and some other things made with puff pastry. You could buy those. Here's an idea: you could buy them. You could throw them in the freezer, and then get some fresh parsley and mince it up. And before company comes, put your meat pie or whatever in the oven that you've bought, maybe in one of your own dishes instead of, but anyway. And then then brush it with egg wash and put fresh parsley over it. And that way it will not, if people don't ask, if they assume that you made it.
Yeah.
All good.
So I'm going to try and roll this out square or in an oblong shape.
So I'm sure some of you have used puff pastry before. It's not difficult. You'll want to use some flour just to keep it from sticking to the rolling pin and sticking to the board. And actually we're using Arva flour. And Arva is a small community north of London. And it has one of the, I think, oldest still operating grist mill in North America. I'm not sure, but at least in Canada. So it's an extremely old flour mill. And they have excellent flour.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, this summer, I used to go to, well, London to get flour, well, and to visit you, but Wiggins carries Arva flour now. And they also carry the Arva beer bread. So you can add a bottle of beer and some butter to this mix. And then you've got something, I think, similar to an Irish soda bread. Just like that. Well, you have to bake it, of course.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 different flavors. So yeah, but Arva flour is really nice. It's fresh, right? It's just freshly ground. They do white flour, pastry, like a hard white, a pastry flour, and a whole wheat flour. And the store is really neat too.
Yes, it is. Yeah, certainly like going back in time. So yeah, it's very good visit. Okay, so I've rolled this out measurement wise. It's probably, well, certainly a couple of millimeters thick there. Okay, thanks. Okay, all right. So I'm going to sort of divide this out into thirds, this area. So in the center, I'm going to put the meat, and then so just going to give myself a guide. And then I'm going to cut sort of centimeter size strips at a sort of diagonal angle down. So from the center to centimeter wide.
So it's going to look basically like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
With a center section that is uncut, and the ends are mostly uncut too.
Yeah. So I tried this yesterday, so I'm going to take the top off here. Right.
Okay. So
we've got things coming together.
Do you still need to talk?
Sorry, no, you carry on.
All right. So while Mark is doing that, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to set up some roasted garlic, and I'm going to make an apple chutney. And so the roasted garlic, actually, this garlic is from Dancing Pig Farms in Walsingham. And this is Spanish Roja garlic. Now, the garlic most of the garlic I've seen in Norfolk County that's been for sale is the hard neck, which means it's got a hard center stem. So if you want to roast a whole head like this, which is really nice, then you get a beautiful, evenly flavored garlic puree that you can use in various recipes. If you want to do that, don't try to cut through the stem. I tried, right? And the whole head falls apart. What you do is just cut around it to cut the tops off the cloves. And then you're going to rub it with a bit of olive oil, which Mark has already done. And then just take a piece of foil, and probably all of you have done this. Just do this and then put it on something so that it doesn't burble out and leave roasted garlic all over your oven. And I'm going to throw it in the, put it in the oven at 400 degrees, and I think it's going to take about 20 minutes, but we'll time it and see.
Okay. So I can maybe turn this around. That's the sort of, it doesn't slide off the board, if you can sort of tell that. Made those diagonal strips down there. So I'm going to do now. Just need a brush. Oh, yeah. Right, so I've already got some egg beaten up in here. Gonna just wet this down here with the egg so that it'll stick and we bind it in the middle.
So while Mark is doing that, I'll just tell you a little bit about this chutney. So you can make any chutney by just taking a vinegar and a sugar and mixing in fruit and basically onion, garlic, any other seasonings you like. So that's basically what I've done. I just sort of make chutney. What I've done ahead of time is I've diced up about 2.5 cups of spy apple, and I thought if I turn them in a bit of apple cider vinegar that it would keep them from going brown, but I was wrong. If you use lemon juice, it will. They should stay white, but not apple cider vinegar. So the other things that I've got for this apple chutney, what I've just done over here on the stove is I've taken coriander, cumin, and coarsely ground black pepper, and I've dry roasted them. So I'm going to let that cool just a little bit and then grind it up using a mortar and pestle and put it in the pot for the chutney. But in the meantime, I'll put everything else in the pot for the chutney while this is cooling a bit, because I don't want to grind the spices while they're hot. Okay, so what I have here is a half cup of apple cider vinegar, about a half cup of brown sugar. Now, if you have any fruit flies in your house, I don't right now, I'm amazed, but as soon as you open apple cider vinegar, you will have friends. They will descend on you. So I've got some chopped red onion that I'm going to put in, about a cup. And this red onion is actually from Innisfree, because they have onion and cabbage. And right now, I believe they're going to be bringing cabbage. And we're going to talk about pairings as well. Beer and wine pairings from local breweries and wineries that will be at market. So anyway, but I'll get to that in a minute. So here I have some minced garlic, about 1 large clove, and some minced ginger as well. A little bit of salt. Oops. Some a 1/4 cup of currants and a 1/4 cup of raisins, and those will cook up nicely, of course, in the chutney, because chutney takes about 45 an hour, I don't know, to cook. You'll know when it's done. You'll just know. Okay, Mark.
Right. Okay. So now I've got my meat portion through the center of that pastry, and all I'm going to do now, is simply plait this alternate, and it should bind in the middle. So, right. This, as I said, this is certainly something that I remember my mother doing a lot around this time of the year. I certainly wasn't allowed in this doing this part, but I was certainly watching what she was doing. So either I can cut that last bit similar to that. So we could have kept it on. We can put that together like that. So that's the plait finished before it's going to get, well, no, it's not going to be finished yet. We're going to wash that with beaten egg. Okay.
Mark is going to be baking it in a glass Pyrex dish. I used to use a lot of parchment on baking sheets, but you know what? A glass baking dish with some oil on it works just as well. And then you're saving a tree or two, which is nice. And it's easy to clean. And yeah, I mean, and if you happen to have a dishwasher, you can throw it in a dishwasher. So.
Or someone to do the dishes for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, I didn't mean for this to be quite well, anyway. That's organic olive oil that I also bought in Port Rowan. So, yep, we're in good shape. Yeah. All right, good. So these apples are from Kent Creek Orchards, actually.
So, yeah, just
and the garlic is from Dancing Pig Farms. So there's a lot of There's a lot of port roan in here. Okay, so you'll see that this is a pretty dry mix right now. I'm going to add about 2 cups of water, and I'll keep watching the chutney as I cook it, and I might have to add a bit more water. And of course, taste it as you go along, because your palate, you're going to know what you like, right? Taste your food all the time as you go along.
Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven now. It's going to start off at 400 degrees. I'm going to bake that for about 15, 20 minutes, and then turn the temperature down to 375. It should take around about 50 minutes, 55 minutes to actually fully cook. But yeah, keep checking it later on in the cooking process.
So now I'm just grinding up my spices that I roasted. And I'll throw those in with the chutney, and then the chutney can just do its cooking. Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna change. Excellent. Good.
Swap around. I'll take
So
this. Wash it.
you know what? Let's not cook the rest of that right now. Let's put that in the container in the fridge.
Okay.
And also the pastry.
Yeah. Okay.
So that used half a package of puff pastry. And we were going to make some sausage rolls with the rest of it. But I think we'll put it in the fridge and use it a bit later instead. So I'm just grinding the coriander, the cumin, and the black pepper right now. Of course, in chutneys, you can add any number of different spices. And chutneys originally are an East Indian condiment that has been around for a very long time. Part of the theme of this cooking demo is a global culinary social, because all of our foods that we eat have deep roots in the past and in many different cultures. So the spices that we use have all come from other countries, basically. Yeah, maple syrup that we use, which is different. I will continue on to, there we go. Good. Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Good. So,
Cindy, can I ask a question?
yes, absolutely.
If you don't have the cumin and coriander seed, can you use the powdered?
Yes, absolutely. Now, you might not want to toast that, or if you do, toast it very, very carefully and for a short period of time. The taste will be a bit different. The consistency of your chutney will be a little bit different too. But I would say use what you have. And I mean, I could have added turmeric. I could have added many other things. And if you don't like fresh ginger, then don't use fresh ginger. So yeah, but you certainly can use ground spices too.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was my weather alerts on my phone. And it wouldn't be a Canadian cooking demo if we couldn't talk about the weather. We're hoping that there's not going to be a power outage and that all of you are going to be able to stay online and watch this. I have a generator, so I'll stay online, but Carla might not. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. All right, so
yeah,
Mark is going to get going on the sweet potato turnip mash. Now there's a story here, and I was starting to talk about different cultures and recipes, and I'll get back to that. I asked Dean if she had a recipe from her family that she liked to use. Again, trying to see what traditions and what different things people do. And she said, she gave me this recipe for a turnip and white potato mash that had a lot of other ingredients in it too. But I wanted to use sweet potatoes because sweet potatoes are grown here quite a lot, and they're really good. And for some people on restricted diets, they can eat sweet potatoes, but they can't eat white potatoes. Like autoimmune protocol diets, that kind of thing. So what I did was I just thought, okay, well, sweet potato will help turnip. Turnip is not one of my favorite vegetables. So I thought, how can we do this? So we cooked we cubed up and boiled sweet potato and turnip ahead of time, just to save a little bit of time. And Mark is now going to put those together and mash them. He's going to talk a little bit about that recipe, and I might jump in. What I've been doing here, which I haven't been telling you about, this is a parboiled potato, white potato, and I'm going to grate it and then cook it with a bit of salt in my small saute pan to make little roasties to use as appetizers. They're going to be part of our bruschetta that we do, our roasty bruschetta. And again, I was trying to look for a little base for this lovely mushroom mix that we're going to be putting on the bruschetta that was gluten-free, so that for people who are on gluten-free diets, they can have something like a bruschetta that doesn't include gluten. So Mark is going to start mashing, and I'm going to start grating.
Okay, so I'm starting off with the turnip that we've cubed here. That certainly takes longer to cook than the sweet potato does, so just bear that in mind when you're making this ahead of time. So,
yes, like 45 minutes. 45 minutes to boil turnip. My one grandmother used to always have mashed turnips at any sort of special family dinner. So I'd eat them, of course. I mean, wow, I would have been in a lot of trouble if I hadn't.
okay, so I'm going to put a bit of olive oil in here.
Okay. So you can use olive oil or you can use butter. But if you're on a dairy restricted diet, then you might want to use olive oil or another oil. That's your choice. So what I've done is I've grated about half this potato just to show you. This potato, so when it's like this, it's a very, it sticks together really nicely. I thought I would need to add some flour to the mix, but I don't actually. Although yesterday I had some of the mix left over, so I added flour and the rest of the egg wash, and it was a lovely potato pancake. And of course, this is something that many different cultures make, right? That whether it's a roasty or a latke or what are some other words?
Well, yeah, I hope put me on the spot.
I have them written down,
yeah.
but
So yeah, certainly roasty is certainly, or rusty is
that's Swiss, originally Swiss.
Right.
So yeah.
So yeah, we'd have grated up potato at home, fried with onion and bacon. So that would again be fried in a pan. So we'd call those fritters. Okay. So what else? I'm going to put some maple syrup in this. Okay, and some whipping cream.
The whipping cream helps a lot. It really does. Now, the recipe that Dean gave me had horseradish in it as well, and sour cream. So I just adapted because sweet potatoes have a really nice flavor of their own. Okay,
and what I'm also going to put in is some 2 other roasted cloves of garlic that we've done earlier. So putting those in, and those will mash up really easy. They're pretty soft. Those.
So I'm going to get my pan heating up. I'm going to use that same pan that I roasted the spices in, and because we're going to be eating this, I'll just leave the spices as they are. Like what was left there, it was a bit of pepper, so that'll be nice. We've been going through olive oil. It's all good. Yeah, I have more, so as well. So the chutney is cooking very nicely.
I'm going to start mashing this and then combine these together.
So this day in history is also November 30th is Mason Jar Day. which one of my friends in Guelph posts to Facebook every day, the significance of each day. It's Mason jar day, but it's also St. Andrew's Day. And St. Andrew was is the patron saint for Scotland. So today is a bank holiday for Scotland. But interestingly enough, banks are still open. And okay, I should say first I have some Scottish blood, so I'm not dissing, Scots. Banks stay open and employees have to keep working and they don't necessarily get any holiday pay. So that seems very Scottish. Anyway, it's good thing I can't hear whether people laugh. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm making some tiny little roasty. How did you pronounce that? Roasty? Roasty. There we go. And to put my pan, they actually take long. They take like 20 minutes to cook. You could probably do these in the oven too, I'm guessing, but if you do them in the pan, then they absorb lots of oil and get super rich and they're really good. I thought I could go coarser on the potato, and I tried, but what happened was it all stuck to the pan, which was really annoying. So yeah, we tried roasting the sweet potatoes and the turnip too. Yeah. And the sweet potatoes were lovely, and the turnips.
Well, they could have done with a little bit more.
Like an hour.
Yes.
Cooking, yeah. My pan's not quite hot enough yet because I hadn't actually turned it on yet. So we'll just let that heat up. See, most cooks wouldn't tell you that. They say, well, I tested the pan, it's not quite hot enough yet. Yes. This is live, right? So yeah, things happen. So I think the person who's the farthest away tonight watching this cooking demo is my cousin Betsy. So she's in Vancouver. So that's wonderful. And I believe my sister and my mom are watching from Guelph as well. So hello to them. And friends from Burlington are also watching. So thank you. Wait. So I probably should have gone through the entire, did I don't think I even went through the entire menu that we're doing. Okay, so, right, so the pork plat,
okay, that needed to go there.
That was, I didn't swear though.
Okay, good.
This is a family show, I did not, and you know what, actually, when I worked in kitchens, I swore so little that cooks would actually apologize if they swore in front of me, which made me feel really old. Of course, I was a lot older than most of them, but still, I thought, oh, come on. I wanted the game. Yeah. Oh, well.
Okay.
Okay. So Mark, is that mashed done?
Yeah, that's mashed done.
So the interesting thing about this flavor combination, which I thought I'd come up with, but of course, if you Google any recipe if you Google any recipe, you'll find that actually hundreds, if not thousands of people have done it before you. And that was the case for this, I think. And in Scotland, they call that
neeps and tatties.
Neeps and tatties.
Yeah, certainly separate, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, St. Andrew is also the patron saint of Barbados. And on this day, it's Independence Day for Barbados. They got their independence in 1966. Okay. So that was a good year.
Yes, good year.
Yeah. Okay, that's 20 minutes for the garlic, so I'm just going to check that. And they also eat neeps and tatties and a number of other foods that reflect some of their indigenous peoples, but that also reflect some of the colonial influences from other countries. Yeah. So the chutney's burbling away, the roasties are cooking. What we are going to do, of course, with the magic of Zoom, well,
yeah, we're going to say television then, weren't you?
we are I mean, the plat is in the oven, but we are actually going to show you a plat that we baked yesterday. Otherwise, you would be here much longer, probably. If we're lucky, it'll come at a time, but it may not. We are going to be putting together our plates at the end, but we're going to be doing some charcuterie. Some of you may have done like very complex charcuterie. I've seen some of your creations on Facebook, and especially on What's for Dinner Norfolk County, which is a Port Rowan based group. And wow, some of the stuff people produce is amazing. Oh, I just want to show you so these are, so I got a 25-pound bag of these red onions and these Spanish onions from Innisphere this fall. So they're in my cold room. I'm hoping they'll last till spring like they did last year. I keep using them, of course. I mean, I don't keep them all, but yeah, they're lovely onions, really good.
Okay. Right. Do you want to put this in a container, or do you want to leave it as it is?
Yeah, well, actually,
Yeah, put it on the side.
yeah, if you want to, actually, yeah, if you want to put it on this somewhere,
Yeah.
on the side for now, and if you would like to put the meat in the fridge in a container, and containers are in the center. There are two. Okay, I'm just turning down my chutney because it's boiling away quite nicely now. Well, I wanted to show you something that we're going to have in the festive charcuterie, and I just disappeared into the fridge for a second. So this was something I demonstrated the last time. Some of you will have seen it, some not. So if you want to make pretty mushrooms, all you do is you take a little knife, and this is actually a tournée knife. Now, the funny thing about a tournée knife, when I was in culinary school, we used them to create these sort of oval pieces of potato and carrot and turnip that were then cooked. And they said, oh, well, this is a really nice old French method to ensure that they all cook the same. But they look exactly like you extruded them out of some factory kind of thing. So yeah, that was a strange thing they had us do. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm taking a little piece of the outer skin of these cremini mushrooms, and I'm just pulling it off in towards the middle. And what I did was I did a few of these up for the festive charcuterie board. So then it looks like this. So that's super easy, right? And then just saute them in the pan, and people think you've done something amazing. So yeah, just thought I'd show you that. I did a few up for later. Would you like to put these in the fridge, please? Right. Okay, so my roasties are cooking away. I need more oil on them. Yeah, they will absorb quite a lot of oil. Some of you may have done something much similar, in a much easier way, probably. They don't always do things the easiest way. I'm left-handed. It is what it is. Okay, I'm going to turn those right down. And the chutney I'm going to turn down somewhat. Good, so excellent. Thank you. I will give you
It's I can get it. Yeah, it's there.
okay, good. Yes, okay. So for our charcuterie, I'll just get that list here. Have that. Just need to take a moment here. Actually, I'm going to talk about the last recipe now, and then we're gonna circle around back. So the last recipe is one that I sort of thought would be kind of a fun thing to try, and they're duck meringues. So basically, I've used the egg white of duck eggs that I got from Dancing Pig Farms, and I'm going to talk about the other farms and other producers too in a minute. It just sort of went that way. Actually, that does remind me. I will backtrack to the plat. So the plat, if you're looking for ground meat, if you're looking for ground pork, then you can find it at the holiday market from give me a moment. Birdhouse Farms. Birdhouse Farms has that, and they have other meat too, and they also have a really great website. If you're looking for other garlic, you can go to Rob's at No Spray Veggies. If you're looking for something else for your charcuterie board, like smoked trout, that's going to be there too. I just wanted to show you how big these duck eggs were. They're massive. They're like almost twice the size of a large chicken egg. But I have to apologize because I did not check before I set the menu. I did not check to see if they would have, if Dancing Pig Farms or Birdhouse Farms would have eggs available at the market, and they don't. The ducks are not laying as much, but for Birdhouse Farms, you have to buy them directly from the farm, which is fine because they have a beautiful farm, and I'd love to visit sometime soon. So for many farms in Norfolk County, because their eggs aren't graded, you have to go directly to the farm if you want those eggs. So that's just a heads up wherever you happen to be. And yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. Like the meringues turned out well. I was thinking I would demonstrate the meringues, but the problem is meringues take about 2 hours to bake at 200 degrees, and the oven's at 400 right now, and we have half an hour. So it's not quite enough time to pull that one off. So what I did was I made up the meringues ahead of time, and I'm going to show you what I had in mind. The great thing about meringues, and these are a hard meringue, not a soft meringue. Of course, probably many of you have had soft meringues, a lemon meringue pie, or what's that other, the Australian meringue?
Australian meringue.
Pavlova.
Oh, pavlova.
We were
okay.
talking about pavlova
Oh,
earlier.
right,
I didn't mean to
okay.
put you on the spot there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
Something
then
else
with
was
fresh
used
fruit.
to
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's good. So I like hard meringues because you can keep them for weeks. And then you can use them for a lot of different things. But I thought it would be sort of neat to do something that was structural in terms of the meringue. So what I have is I have some meringues. I've tried a few different things, and I'll just show you what they look like. I should bring some meringues, but yeah, but anyways, it's all good.
Yeah.
So I used a piping bag with, you can use any kind of tip you want, depending on what you have. Meringues have a very specific process. If any of you've made them, a hard meringue, you need to whip them to a foam first, and then it's good to add an acid like a bit of lemon juice or tartaric acid, cream of tartar, pardon me, because then that helps to stabilize the foam. And then you whip them more to soft peaks, and then you start adding sugar. And you want to stop while the peaks are stiff but still glossy, and then you can use it for what you have. So they're a little bit tricky that way, but like 3 ingredients, right? So that's not difficult. So what I did was I piped different shapes onto my baking sheet that was covered with parchment, had the oven at 200, and then I started, trying to think of how to build a Christmas tree from that. So I made up a very simple white icing with just icing sugar, butter, and a bit of water. And I've got these shapes here that I'll show you. So I did triangles. And what I did was I put some decorative pieces on the triangles. And I made the triangles different shapes, or different sizes rather. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up, but we'll see. And then just when you want to actually make something up before an event, then just pipe a bit of this simple icing onto each section and then stick them together, which is super easy. And of course, I have different color decorations on each of these. So, yeah, and then one on top. So interestingly enough, when I looked online, so I thought, wow, I wonder if anyone's ever tried doing meringue trees. I was devastated to see that the very first listing was Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart did it 7 years ago, but she did something different. She did a soft meringue. She did not do hard meringue. Oh, I should show you. I mean, that's kind of cute, eh? Like, that's, I'll put it against there. You can kind of see. Yeah, it's a little tree. Little tree. You can use that, you know, on, I don't know, somewhere. And then it can all be eaten. Because I've used just that icing, it's quite, it'll last for quite a while, and you're not adding too much moisture to the meringue. So what you see online is people are taking a larger kind of flour swirl tip, and they're doing little trees that they're then baking. But the thicker you get with meringue, the longer it takes for it to dry out. And these took 2.5 hours, right? And that's as thick as that is, right? That's not that thick. So if you go like 4 times that thickness, it doesn't dry. And so they said, and so reviewers were saying, oh, well, I like this because it was crispy on the outside and soft inside. And I thought, no, that's no. But if that's what you like, then that's fine. What I was interested to find out when I did these, and I don't do a lot of cookies, so I was trying to do freeform too. But anyway, what I found out with these is that you can put the decorations on ahead of time. So then that part is already done. Because I was thinking I would sort of put those on with icing afterwards, which is fiddly, right? It's much easier to just put it on the meringue ahead of time and it bakes and it's done. So I have quite a few different decoration bits that I use for this, because this is a useful sort of thing. And I also did actual Christmas trees and little wreaths. So then you have all these different elements you can use. You could even paste them onto a plain cookie if you want, right? You could bake like a gingerbread cookie and then you could take some icing and just paste that on. That's easy. Works. But I wanted to talk just a few minutes about these different sprinkles that I found. First of all, there's the coarse granulated sugar, which is really useful for a lot of different things. And I bought these at a store in Simcoe that I won't mention, but you all know where I got these. Rainbow sprinkles, which are good for a whole lot of things. Choco bits. Silver dragées, which are one of my favorites. And they actually have silver in them, apparently. So that you can't buy them in the States, in most states, apparently. So I don't know. I guess they don't care about those things in Canada. It doesn't matter. Maybe a bit of silver is okay. And this one was really special, actually. This one, I should have had these in little mason jars. That's what I should have done. Yeah. But yeah, I know, right? What I'll do is I'll put some in a little dish so you can see it, because this one, so we have to talk seriously about this particular mix. And I will just show it to you so you can see. You see, it's quite a mixture of sizes and colors and shapes. I bought 1 ounce of this because, believe it or not, it was about $36 a pound. Price of good steak. I don't know. Anyway, but I had to buy it, and I had to buy it because of the name. And the name is Flight of the Unicorn Twinkle Sprinkle Medley. Yeah, so I think most of the cost was in the name, actually. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So in the spirit of that, I am renaming the other two. There we go. I'm renaming my my coarse granulated sugar, and also the silver dragées, both to reflect the Port Rowan area. The coarse granulated sugar is now going to be known as the Tundra Swan Whistling Icicle Serenade. And the silver dragées are going to be known as Song of the Sandhill Cranes, Tribble Silver Balls. So There we go. And I think they could charge a whole lot more for them.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things we really wanted to tell you about, I keep getting away from them, right? But I will get back to them. So we really wanted to talk about some of the wonderful pairings that we can do.
Yeah.
Mark, do you want to talk about that for a minute about some of the recipes? And what I'll do is I'll just move my little tree over here, give you some space. And yeah, and then I'll get back to the ganache with that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, this is Pinot Grigio from Innisfail Wines. So this one is again will be an off-white or medium white with sort of flavors of apricot and melon. So that's going to go well, particularly with a pork, but yeah, you could be pair that with the bruschetta or the charcuterie board that we're doing as well. Very good. Also from Innisfail Wines, we've got this Cabernet Franc. So that again would go with a charcuterie board. This one is a Harvest Party Red from Burning Kiln. Okay, so this is a blend of wines. So this is going to be quite a medium sort of wine, sort of not dry. So that would again would both reds would go very well with the charcuterie. Okay.
So these would also make nice gifts for people, right?
Yeah.
And some of this will be at the holiday market, along with a wonderful variety of other gifts that you can buy for people or for yourself. Various crafts, music, knitting, Afghans, woodwork, charcuterie boards, wood etchings, wood burnings, and beautiful cosmetics from Justiforia. And in fact, she also has salves, and hopefully she'll have some of her plantain salve. But Mark burned himself on the wrist.
Yeah, accident prone in the kitchen. Yes.
Not really. Burned himself accidentally at some point, and so I got some of the plantain salve, and you wouldn't be able to tell that there was a burn there. So that's kind of neat. She has beautiful soaps and lip balms and stuff as well. So now I'm going to just make up a quick ganache to go with the meringue treat. Chocolate ganache is super easy. Whipped cream, heated up. So 35% cream heated up in a pot on the stove. Top chocolate put into that, mix it until it melts. And then you can add whatever flavoring you want, whether it's vanilla or brandy or something else. You can use this depending on the consistency. It can either be very stiff or it can be more sauce-like. So all of that depends on how much chocolate you put into the whipped cream. It's just a lovely multifunctional thing. And I was thinking that a little pot of chocolate ganache next to your meringue Christmas tree, and I'd be happy. Yeah, maybe with a bit of that too. Maybe. So what I'm going to do, I've got some cream heating up here. Oh,
right.
Good, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're really done. So we just took the roasted garlic out, which I had forgotten.
Yeah, very roasted garlic.
It's very roasted.
Nice.
It's very roasted, but it'll still be nice. Good. So you might be able to see the heat rising off this small pot with, it's got the whipping cream in it that's been heated up. I've chopped up some chocolate, 80% dark organic. So I'm just going to put that in there, and I'm going to put it back on the stove and just gradually stir it until all that chocolate melts into a lovely mess there. So that is good. A little earlier, I also melted some chocolate in one of these little like Betty Crocker chocolate melter thingies. And that is really nice for dipping whatever you want it, you know. So what I actually did was I dipped some grapes for the charcuterie board because gotta have some chocolate, right? And then I put some rainbow sprinkles and some, shoot, what did I call that? The Thunder Swan, whatever. Anyway, this got the granulated sugar on it. So that's kind of pretty, right? And I also, what I do is I cut the grapes into a tiny bunch and then wash them, always wash and dry them. And then when people pick them up, you know, they're not sort of picking up an individual grape. They pick up a nice little branch and they get a few all together. So that's a nice way to kind of do that.
So those roasties are done.
Oh, roasties are done. So I'll just show you kind of how they look. They're just little. And that's for the mushroom mix. Do you want to talk about the mushroom mix? Oh, thank you for doing that. Okay. So Mark's just mixing my chocolate so it doesn't burn with the ganache, which is wonderful. Thank you. So for the bruschetta or bruschetta, depending on how you want to pronounce it, which we're using the roasty for, we chopped up mushrooms, did a fine duxelle, I think is the French name. So like a fine dice of the mushrooms, and then cooked them on the stove in a saute pan. What did you mix with that?
Okay, some of the roasted. Oh no, at least some garlic. So just raw garlic and some oregano and some olive oil, and cook that until it took probably about 10 minutes or so on a medium low heat to actually get that all together.
Okay. So, you know, I think we're in good time. Are there any questions at this point, Carla? I'm just going to get a drink.
Yeah, we don't, there's nothing in the chat, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to turn on your microphone and ask away.
I'm really impressed with the grapes that you made, Cindy. And I think this would be a real hit, especially for my grandchildren at Christmas, when we have the dinner, maybe for dessert or something. Did you use that ganache that you're making right now?
I just melted chocolate for this.
You just melted the chocolate.
Melted chocolate in that little crock pot.
And it's that 70% or 80% dark chocolate, or is it the little round things?
It's President's Choice Extra Dark. It's actually 85%. Pardon me. Sometimes I get the one that's 70, but this is 85%. So I just chopped it up. If you were to melt chocolate on the stove and you didn't have one of those little crock pots, then you would use like a double boiler, right?
Yes, I do have a little crock pot. It's perfect.
Yes, but you could of course use almost any chocolate for that, including, actually, I think I've seen these with a white chocolate, right? Which it sets off the colors nicely. So you could go either way. And of course the decorations would look different, especially.
Yeah, I know you can buy those little round wafers. They're in a bag in all different colors too.
Yeah. They have lots of other ingredients in them usually.
And it's just grapes and that, and it could be done with any fruit, really.
Yes, I mean, you've probably all seen it with strawberries, right? Where you get chocolate dipped strawberries. So that's what they do. I mean, they charge king's ransom, but basically all they're doing is they're taking a strawberry and they're dipping it in dark chocolate. And if you see the dark and the white, so then they're letting the dark set and then they're dipping it in white chocolate. And they charge you, I don't know, but yeah, so yeah, you could do it with various fruits. What I've also done it with is dried apricots. And it was the favorite treat of the little boys next door. So because they always ate healthy, so I tried to cut down on the sweet stuff, but when they were very young. So yeah, I would do dipped apricots, and sometimes I give those to friends who are gluten-free for Christmas too. So.
And do you have to keep them in the refrigerator after they're done? Let's say you're doing it like several days before, you would have to keep them in the.
I do keep them in the fridge, just but then I keep most of my dried fruit in the fridge too.
Okay.
And then that just keeps the fruit nice. Or if you have a cool garage or a cold room in your house or something like that, they'd be fine there too. I mean, the dried fruit, it doesn't really have to be refrigerated. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think Kyria's idea would be great, but what if you took some of them and dipped them into the dark chocolate and another group into the white chocolate, put that on a charcuterie board? That would be really pretty.
That would be nice. Yeah, it's a great idea. And very interesting, the history of charcuterie. We are very familiar with the whole idea of charcuterie boards right now. But charcuterie, of course, is a French term, and it dealt with cured meats. So it was all about cured meats and actual stores that just carried, like butchers that would carry cured meats. But other countries have the same, many countries have the same sort of idea. And there's even, have you heard of ostumami?
No.
Oh, good. So this is a Japanese term for snacks with alcohol, but it's mostly a salted fish and other snacks like that with alcohol. So other countries mostly focus on pork or products from pig for their cured meats, but it also does include beef and other meats as well. So it's interesting. I mean, as you go back with spices and you go back with ingredients, you see that we are far more connected to the larger global community than you think. Sweet potatoes, the name potato originally referred to sweet potatoes. And sweet potatoes have been used for thousands of years as a food source around the world, as has garlic. And in fact, garlic was used by Egyptians building the pyramids. They would feed garlic to their slaves who were building the pyramids to give them strength. So, and we all know that garlic has many medicinal purposes as well. It's an extremely good vegetable.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to start assembling things. So we're going to start, shall we start with the charcuterie board?
Yeah.
Okay, how's the ganache?
That's going well. It's good job. I caught it, I think.
Okay,
maybe it's,
so of course ganache will get a bit firmer as it cools because of the chocolate. What we're going to do is we're going to put the charcuterie board together now, and we'll talk about the different elements. And you've seen some of those. Did you want to set up a few roasties with the mushrooms? Yeah, and I'll just move this little tree over, and we will start with this beautiful board. Beautiful charcuterie board it was a gift from Betty, from her tulip tree that she had, and Jeff Sauter made that. Lovely board. Being that it's been the pandemic, not had a lot of opportunities to use this yet, so this will be nice tonight. We've got a lot of different elements, of course. Like, I had to buy grapes, right? Because grapes and cheese and crackers and things. So instead of actually using crackers, well, you can buy crackers anywhere, right? You can buy a huge variety. But you can also buy, say, a baguette and you can cut it on an angle, and you can put olive oil on both sides and make your own crostini. Throw that in the oven till they're just like a little crisp on the outside, and you've got a fresh, beautiful crostini. You could use that mushroom topping for that. You could use some of the local cheeses, and there will be some local cheeses at the holiday market. There will be Guns Hill cheese, and I think another local cheesemaker as well. I'm not sure, from Haldeman County, possibly. But Guns Hill has beautiful cheese. I'm using 2 of those on this charcuterie plate today. One is Five Brothers, which is also carried by Old Time Deli in Port Rowan here. Five Brothers cheddar, which is really nice cheddar, and Bridget's Brie, which is also excellent. And of course, if you have crostini, you could always put Brie and make it all melty and then put it on your board. There's many possibilities. Okay. We can talk about that.
Okay, so what we'll put on here is the mushroom that we cooked earlier. So that's with the garlic and roasting it, minced garlic and the oregano.
What?
Yeah, I could go down the coriander cilantro thing, and yeah, so I've had to learn different, certainly different words for different vegetables. So that's been an exploration as well.
So what you can also do, of course, with a charcuterie board, which is what butchers do all the time, is you can use a bit of green to spark things up. So you could just use some lettuce. This is living lettuce, but whatever you have. If you're going to do that, then put something that doesn't mind a bit of moisture with that. And what we've done is we've grilled some sweet pepper, different colors, because that's easy, right? And so then you get the nice grilly marks on that. You can buy roasted red pepper in tiny jars, but you might as well do this. It's much cheaper, and you have a much fresher product. And I probably shouldn't just be using my fingers, but seeing we're going to be eating this, it's not a big deal. So you get some nice colors when you roast. This is using a grill pan, not barbecue. But if any of you have your barbecue still set up, you can do that. So I'm just putting some there. You'll probably have a small pair of tongs or something. Or if you're being extra cautious during the holiday season, you might want to have separate little plates for everybody with the charcuterie. So this is the Bridget's Brie here. It's very, very nice. So I'll just throw that there. This is actually some purchased marbled cheese because I like the colors, and I didn't actually cut up any. Oh, I did. Where is it? Oh, here. I don't want to talk myself out of what I've done, because that would be unfortunate. So this is the Five Brothers cheese. I was right at their farm actually, but it is carried in town and will be carried at the holiday market as well. I could see the cows out in the field, and as I drove up to the store, I could smell that rich, pungent smell of manure that's been spread on a field, but cow manure, right? So it has that earthy, wonderful, country sense to it. There will be, of course, I mentioned the smoked trout from Dunveston at the market, but there will also be pepperettes and some smoked ham from Birdhouse Farms. I bought these. I didn't get out to Birdhouse, so I bought actually these cold cuts at the Old Time Deli, and also Wiggins has quite a variety too, including a lot of pillars, which are I like pillars. It's good. Now, when we were talking, we of course had planned to do about 5 more recipes than we did today, because I'm always a bit over ambitious when it comes to recipes. We talked about doing pickled onions. So I was talking about how we've done them when I worked at Twisted Lemon. And I asked Mark if he'd ever made pickled onions. And he said, well, yes, but I've only used pomegranate vinegar.
I haven't always used, but I did happen to use last time. I used pomegranate vinegar for pickled onions. And it was, it's delicious.
So, foodie alert.
Well, it was crying out on the shelf, so it needed to be bought.
So then what I did last week was I went and bought a pomegranate because I thought, well, this will be funny. I'll make up pomegranate vinegar and pull it out right about now, and then that will get a laugh. So he picked up a few ingredients for this, and was, when we were prepping yesterday, brought them over. And then he reaches in his bag and he pulls out 2 pomegranates.
So
yeah. So anyway, so what we've done is we've taken
decoration.
pomegranate seeds here, and we will scatter them over the plate because they're pretty, and people can eat them like this. I remember growing up. Well, I spent 2 years of my childhood in Africa, and there was a pomegranate tree in the backyard, and it felt like I waited forever for that pomegranate tree to actually, you know, for the pomegranates to ripen. So that was amazing. Friends of we've remained friends with a lovely family who were from East India, from Simla, who were right beside us, living beside us on this coffee and banana plantation where we lived. And that's where I first had chutney, and that's where I first had samosas and all kinds of other wonderful Indian foods. And when you try these things when you're young, I mean, it just broadens your horizons in terms of what is out there and the flavors and foods. And it's a way to start to understand people from different cultures too, through their foods, through the flavors, through what kinds of things they make and eat during holidays. We have, in Guelph, my parents have neighbors who had two girls who were about our age when we were growing up, and the girls still live there, and they're Greek, and their mother used to make the most wonderful Greek pastries, and at Christmas it was a highlight because they would bring over this tray of these Greek pastries, which at that time in the 70s, not so easy to find, right? Like that was very exotic and wonderful. Now people are much more cosmopolitan. There's the internet. You can look up anything, you can try, you can make anything. Use recipes as a bridge, as a way to understand other cultures and to understand people, to understand things as simple as a braid being used in food, that is a link to something thousands of years old. There's cultural and there's religious significance to all those things. So yeah, anyway, so charcuterie board. So we've got roasted vegetables, we've got cheese, we've got fruit, little bruschetta, roasty mushroom roasties, and pomegranate and cured meats on that beautiful board. So we'll just put that to one side, and now what we're going to do is through the, oh wow, it looks like the plat is done, which is wonderful. I think what we're going to do is just show you.
Yeah, I can. I'm going to take that to the camera.
Yeah. Don't burn yourself.
No.
Okay. Okay, I put a cloth down on the board so it's somewhat protected.
Okay, so that's the.
Now, what you see
We'll see that.
the dark areas around here is just the juice that's come out of the meat, and it doesn't actually affect the plat at all. But that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that turned out well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good catch. That's fine. You've been watching it. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if that you can all see that. That
So,
comes
yeah.
out well on the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
And I should mention too, the sweet potato turnip mash, it's a coarse mash. It's not a really like finely fine fluffy mash like mashed potatoes, which probably reflects the fact that it's got a whole lot more fiber in it. So it's better for you that way, but it also provides a nice counterpoint if you're having mashed potatoes as well. If you do want that mash to be really fine, you could always use an immersion blender. You know, if you have one, but if you don't, it just, I mean, It doesn't have to be like a puree. It doesn't have to be. It's entirely up to you. So I'm just gonna show you the ganache and kind of taste that. I did have so you can see it's all beautiful and melty here. So it could be like chocolate soup next to your duck meringue tree. Why not? I'm glad the duck meringue turned out. I've never tried that before, so I didn't know. Yeah, so 85% chocolate is not that sweet. So this is like an adult ganache. You could like throw some maple syrup into it if you wanted it a bit sweeter. And of course you could put any kind of liqueur in here too. You could put Bailey's in this, you could drink it.
Yeah.
I don't hot chocolate. I just came up with that, but it's probably Martha Stewart's probably done it.
Yeah.
I'm sure, right? I don't know how she knows these things. So that is plated. We were thinking we're just gonna quickly. Do you want to plate the? Plats? Would you cut? You know what? Do you want to plate or do you want to cut into the? Stick it. Yeah. So cut into it. Look, this is real. This is real. Okay, and
back for yesterday. Okay. Hiding the sounds of plastics away.
right.
Yeah.
So the chutney, if you're looking at it, the chutney is slightly purple from the red onion, and it's cooked down somewhat so that the apples are darker color now. You can cook chutney as long as you want, but if you do cook it for an hour or two, then it's going to keep a bit better, and it should keep for a couple of weeks in the fridge. I would store it in a mason jar. It's mason jar day. I mentioned that. I would store it in a mason jar because of the acid in it. So I really, if you could stay away from plastic, that'd be probably a better thing to do. Yesterday, what we did with the rest of the sausage. Oh, I meant to put that on the. Okay, so one thing I missed putting on the charcuterie board. We used the rest of the sausage and we made sausage rolls and used the rest of the puff pastry for that. So we're going to put slices of that on there too. Missed that. Okay, so mash. Okay. Alrighty, and normally, go ahead. Oh, sure. Thank you. Okay, so we've got this lovely mash. So I'm going to put a bit of mash on the plate. And if I was a twisted lemon, it would have to be in one of those lovely little shapes. I'm not, so it's all good. And they would probably use garnish. Oh, here is, I have such an issue with garnish, right? Sometimes you'll see like this huge piece of rosemary. What a waste of good herbs. Put something on that people can eat. People are not going to be chewing on rosemary. They'll eat parsley.
Yeah.
And they might eat other things, but they're not going to eat a chunk of rosemary. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just.
That's right.
You know, so I was gonna artistically cut the plait on an angle, but I don't want to wreck all the lovely braids, so I'm not going to do that. So we'll just put that on an angle like that. We'll add some roasted peppers. Now, I apologize for using my fingers so much for this demonstration. Realistically, okay. At a restaurant, they would be using tongs a lot of the times, but you would be amazed at how much cooks actually use their fingers on your food. And when I first started working various places, won't mention anywhere specifically, I'm just going to throw some green on there just so that it looks, and some pomegranate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, not very good. No.
And I'm just going to scatter pomegranate around there. There we go. That is kind of cute. Usually I wouldn't put pomegranate on something unless there was actually pomegranate in it, but this is just fun, right? Yeah, so mixing salads by hand. Oh, don't step on a pomegranate seed. Cleaning that up for a long time. So this is not perfect, but that kind of gives you an idea. That's kind of a nice plate. It could be a nice plate for a light dinner or a nice lunch. This sausage plant, I'm just going to take that off so it doesn't absorb and not become crunchy. Sausage, you could use that for breakfast or for lunch or for snack or for the charcuterie board. So it's got lots of choices there. And the mash, yeah, well,
yeah,
nice to have.
Prepared.
It can be prepared
ahead of time.
All these things can be prepared ahead of time, right? And that's, yeah, I mean, if you happen to have some roasted pepper in the fridge, you can use it for so many things. So lots of different options there. And for the ganache, actually, let's see, how am I going to do that? You know what?
One of these ones?
This will be fun. All right.
Yeah.
This is a tiny little glass. So what we'll do is just, if you'd like to bring a little round tree over, it's this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Just stole from the charcuterie board. So there you go. You have your little tree, you have your hot chocolate, and you have your rainbow sprinkled dipped chocolate grapes. Okay.
As a dessert. So there you go. And got through it. All right. Thank you very much. I'm hoping this Christmas that you have, or holiday, depending on however you celebrate the holiday season, that you have a chance to spend time with friends and family, that you have a chance to think about other cultures and other parts of the world and how food connects us all through history and through our daily things that we do. So sorry, I had something better in my head, but it's gone.
Oh.
So thank you very much. And thank you to Carla, Betty, Dean, and Barb as the key volunteers for running the Port Rowan Farmers Market. If you have a chance, please get out to the holiday market on Friday, December 9th from 3 to 6. And there's so many lovely handmade items that are going to be there. There's going to be flowers. There's going to be beautiful socks.
Yeah.
There's going to be all kinds of stuff. You got to have Christmas socks. I mean, really. So yeah, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed tonight and that you found at least one thing that you might be interested in making. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cindy and Mark. That was amazing. So many beautiful recipes, and you have so many details about all our local producers in there, and such a great message about sharing cultures through food. I love that. And it's really fabulous. And it was, you know, you had everybody captivated for like over an hour here. So good job.
Thank you so much. That was
Thank you, Cindy and Mark. That was a wonderful, wonderful way to spend our evening. And I'm thrilled to see turnip, Cindy. Thrilled to see turnip.
Well, we were surprised at how good this actually tasted.
It is delicious, yes.
We were surprised.
And you'll be shocked if you add a little horseradish. My dear, it is delicious with a bit of lemon.
I'll bet, yeah. We might try it. We have quite a lot of it.
Yes. Yeah. So we can
actually,
find an alternative.
Actually, one of my neighbors is watching and neighbor friends. And she was one of the first to volunteer to taste test anything. So I believe she's watching, Laura. So yeah, we've got some extras here. If you like, give me a call tomorrow and yeah, that's good.
Well, you're delightful as usual, Cindy, and we're blessed to have you. And Mark, welcome, and we're glad. What a great team you make. So thank you very, very much. It was wonderful. I don't know that I don't know what I'll make. I think, well, I'll have to make the turnip. But
yeah,
I love
that, like the sweet potato just modifies the turnip, and the turnip flavors. Yeah, it works. Yeah,
it would be nice because I also have a nice turnip recipe with apple. It's a lovely recipe. I have a lot of turnip recipes.
That's wonderful.
You got to have turnip at every meal, really. So
I was actually reading, or I was doing a little bit of research, because I remember as a child, and it still is going on. I'm from Switzerland. I grew up there. At the beginning of November, the first week in November, just after the Halloween and all the pumpkins and everything, we have the turnip lantern parades in the evening. And we have there are all kinds of little poems and songs about the turnips. And so I was wondering why that was. And turnips were actually used before pumpkins, and it happened in Great Britain, England, Ireland. They used them, and it was the culmination of the harvest, because turnips were a very, very popular food staple, and for animals and for people. And after a good harvest, it was like Thanksgiving, and that's why they made the lanterns, and they had little parades. It's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.